go. It started. Alright, hey everybody, what's up? It's Sunday night. I was planning on filming earlier, and it's late now, so let's see what happens. Got some Pandora playing in the background, so I hope it's not blaring over my own microphone. Right, let's see, a couple things I'm going to start off with is I got a couple of new things, a couple of cool things. I got these little brushes, like teeny tiny little sons of guns, by Princeton. They're called Velvet Touch because they have this like smooth feel. They're synthetic brushes. I got this cool little detail dude here. If it'll doesn't want to focus, pull the old hand behind to get to focus on that crap. There he is. 3-0 spotter, little guy for touching. The reason I got these guys, a shader around and a liner. The reason I got those is because they are a synthetic brush, and that way I can use enamels and oils on the small end and not worry about them polluting my natural tip brushes that I use for my acrylics. Just trying to think ahead. I picked up some new gel medium. I got some soft gel matte. As you can see, it is a whole lot newer looking. It's brand freaking new. It's still sealed up. And we'll be touching again on another kit with stickers with this sometime soon. And we'll give it the run to the wash, as it were. So I've been busy working on the Gyaradoga custom. I switched it up, and I've chosen to include the shield, and so I've added detail to the shield, consisting of some claw plate armor additions and some scribe lining done here on the edges. Pretty basic flat scribing. Same on the shoulder. I added the half a hexagon. It's not really a, it's basically half a hexagon. It's kind of a motif that I've been running with on this kit. It reoccurs, so I ran that on both sides and then tied the two together with a nice detail scribe line, panel line. That I used the Dymo tape on. Same with this. I did the same thing. I did the Dymo tape, and then I used my new acquisition, the Tamiya Plastic Scriber 2. This is really nice. So that's actually what we're going to talk about today. Not about this, because this is pretty basic. Not about this, because this is also basic. Not about these guys, because this is extra. This is the front skirts. I've been doing a little extra detail on that. Basically, I add a little plate. Looks like this when I start. The X is on top, so the X is on the outside, so I know which is the top when I add the glue. If I do any pre-forming or pre-sanding. And then I basically just stick if it's a big piece that laps up, if it's a big piece that laps up, I just kind of I stick it up and then kind of just glue it, and then I'll sand it down to fit. I'll sand it down to fit that size, and if there's any back, I'll fill it in on the end, and yeah, so that's how I get that done. But what the big thing, you may have seen this if you follow my Instagram, is I have been working on the legs for the Gyaradoga. The kit itself has a lot of flat planes, like the shield, for example. The shield was a giant, looks like a cell phone, just give somebody a call. Hello? Yeah, like an old flip phone from the 90s or something. Yeah, so I wanted to add detail, like that's why I added the little panel lines. However, the leg has, here we go with the base. This is the regular leg. As you can see, nondescript, bulbous, bubbly armor. Just a lot of planes, and it's a really big kit. So painting and trying to add detail to draw, nurture some details out of this form here is going to be really tough without the addition of what I did. In my opinion, I added some scribing lines. Some tweezers up here to point some things out. We have. All right. I added a panel line here to separate the booster from the regular armor on the calf. I also added a cowl line here for the nose cone, or the cone for the booster. I added this continuation of this line, ribbed on the edge on this side and on the opposing side. It runs all the way down, and that ties into the separation for this booster, which again I also scribed this contour line around the edge. And that was all of the scribing that I felt this kit needed, or this particular component needed in this kit. I added these little bits of styrene sheet here to mimic, or not mimic, but to carry on with the same theme of the half hexagon, as I've been calling it today. Getting that carried through to the leg to kind of like break up the planes a little bit. And I mean, if you look at the two of them side by side, you can see that the details, though subtle, make a big difference. So that's what we're going to kind of go over a little bit today, talking about how to use this stuff, what this stuff is, how to use, or a way that I use this stuff. You can do whatever you want with it, and how to apply this as well. So stay tuned, guys, and we'll get back in a second. Right, after a little break, I dismantled the armor components from the untouched leg to basically just 4 pieces. These two get some scribing on them, and these two get some plates added to them. But before I get started on that stuff, I want to talk about a couple more things that I picked up recently at the local hobby shop. I was able to grab these metal detail parts. These are some funnel metal additions. They're aluminum. I'm going to add these to my Kshatriya repaired that I got from my wife for my birthday. Super awesome. I'm starting to compile some really cool little bits and pieces to add to that. And I got these components for like a Zaku, but I want to use these ones on the goof. I think that these are going to be great. They're sized up for the MG, for the hoses, so I'm going to integrate those in some cool way. I think I really like these. If not, maybe I'll grab even some more and make a big party out of it. Alright, also, final cool thing that I grabbed from the local hobby store is the HAR Series Mark 1 Mark 2 sniper rifle set. Ah yes, this thing. You may have seen some images of this online. It's really, really cool. Standard rundown, like 4 or 5 runners, some instructions, really basic. I'm really looking forward to putting this thing together. I mean, basic in regards to like not being a ton of pieces, but it's a couple of really, really cool looking rifles. I look forward to putting these together, painting them up, and adding them to my gym sniper. Gonna be rocking it. Anyways, put that aside. For tooling, I got myself a little simple airbrush cleaning kit. I have just been using old brushes and been really working the tooth out, working out the bristles on the brush. So I got this kit. It's basically just a set of different gauge wire, spun wire here. You got some different brush sizes to scrub out the inside, and then it comes with this like evil looking little. Look at that thing. Vicious. But that's going to be great for cleaning out and getting to the inside. There's nothing worse than a clogged tip in your airbrush. I've had, like, you know, everybody has that. You spend time. Always spend some time. Put on something good. Fox says the best. Put on something good, something that you enjoy listening to, and prepare to spend some time getting things clean. Speaking of which, first thing that we have to do is clean the parts. So I got my alcohol, a little bit of paper towel here. Gonna clean up the armor. Gonna be drawing on it. Gonna be wanting the Dymo tape to stick to it. And these compound curves they're not really conducive to. Oh, it's beautiful though, right? I love this stuff. The molding on this kit, I will say, is phenomenal. The gating wasn't bad. I don't think there was any surface gating. A lot of it was under. There's a little bit here on that lip. Oh, I'm way out of frame. There's one here on this lip, a little bit, but that I'll be able to chase with a Tamiya Scriber. Oh, it's my ninja blade. Yeah. So just gonna go through, scrub up these guys. Oh, right on. In the background, I got Portugal the Man. I don't know if you can hear that, but this is a great jam. Even these guys. Does that just get glue? The glue will eat through the mold release, But it just, you know, it's better to have a solid place to start from. A lot of times I'll even go through with an old beat up. This is an old piece of 15 micron paper. I think it's like 800 or something like that grit. I'm not 100% sure, but it's all beat up and worn out. It's just like a really fine cloth now, and a lot of times I'll go and just kind of like rough up that face, which you can see. It's got you can even see just a little bit in the corner where there's still a little bit of sheen. Yeah, just work that over a little bit. It doesn't really like deform the face at all, but it just mats it up and gives you a clean spot to start for gluing another piece of plastic to it, just so you have a nice clean. It's like slipping and scoring with ceramics. So, all right. So for the little bits of styrene plastic sheeting that I use for this, I just grabbed a couple of sheets of this hobby plate. I don't even know how thick it is. It's around a 1/16 of an inch. It's a little bit thinner than a 1/16 of an inch standard. I don't know what that evens out to for gauge, whether it's 040 or what, or 060. I don't know. Anyway, but this stuff is pretty nice. You can cut it with a hobby blade. These are some shapes that I used for my mobile making hot rod build, which I'll give you guys a tour someday of. But as you can see, these are where I pulled my little pieces out. I just use. Oh yeah, I haven't talked about that yet. I have these templates I picked up. Or maybe I mentioned this before. I don't remember. But I got these at the local arts and crafts store. It's just an architectural designer template. It's great for laying things out. Everything is on these are because it's here in America it's all standard. But it fractionally lays things out. This is like each of these hexagons, 3/8 of an inch on side, 1/2 inch on side, blah blah blah. Same thing for the squares. I believe these are radii for this 3/4 inch diameter. Yeah, that's probably a diameter. So 7/8 inch. Yeah. So these are diameters in the circles. Gives you a little ruler. Blah 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 blah. And they always give a little like bear. A cow or something. It's really interesting. I grabbed another one too, and this is for what is this? An architectural planner? Yeah, 1/8 scale. Once again, your gradiated squares and circles. These are nice. The proportioned rectangles. That's pretty cool. Series of different shapes. I like these up here on the top because they're for sinks. Which, I mean, you might not think is straight off, but if you're doing like a high grade kit or even like a master grade kit and you're trying to layer plate to make hatches or to get a recess, like in the shield that I did, there's like a cutout so you can layer the small square inside the larger square on your template, cut out the small square and then the outside the outer square, and you have yourself a hollow rectangle. You can add that as like a hose port, or add some hardware or something in there. I don't know. I'm just trying to think details. Anyways, these are pretty cheap. I think they were like $4, I think, a piece, or $5, something like that. They're pretty good. Don't try to cut against them. You'll scratch them up. I scratched mine up a little bit. I feel bad, but you get over it. But yeah, so the plate, cut out the plate, get the little doodads like these, and then clean them up and glue them on. To do that, I'm just going to use sanding sticks, and I'm going to mark the top face of the piece so that I know where to apply the glue, so I don't accidentally glue the side that I sand and finish to the side that it's not supposed to be glued to. Okay. All right, guys. So the first lines that I'm going to scribe, I'm going to get into some the scribing, is this long line that I scribed to give a contoured profile to the frontal housing on this piston and these hoses. If you look at, I think it's the leg here. Is that what does that? Something moves that in there. Is that it? No, like this. I don't know, but the articulation of the leg is kind of retarded. I mean, seriously. Charge away, friends. Okay. But yeah, so we're going to work on scribing that line, which is on this lead edge here, using the Dymo tape. So what the Dymo tape is, it's tape. It's the tape that goes into label makers. It's got a little bit of a thickness to it, and it's actually quite sticky. So you can use it as a hard edge template to run your scribe against. This scriber works incredibly well with it. I've tried to use it with a different kind of scribe, didn't work quite as well. I didn't try the new one that they had at Ryuyang, but that one's coming up soon. I'm going to get that. But yeah, so for this instance, I was using this scriber and this Dymo tape. As you can see, Dymo tape. You can just go to your local office supply store, Staples or what have you. You can also find it on Amazon. So the basic idea is we're going to cut a couple of strips that sit back on that approximately there, you know. And we're going to cut them off, cut flat pieces out here. We're going to cut some contours that mirror this inside shape. To do that, we're just going to nip a couple little sections of this off. I'm going to use my medium duty hobby knife with a sturdy wedge blade. It's not nearly as sharp as, here we go here, your standard hobby blade. Yeah, anyway, or as severe an angle. So I'm looking at okay, just for ease of video, I cut these few sections out to use on making the template here. Alright, so yeah, we're going to line up. I'm going to make sure that they're the same by using my handy ruler. I inherited this one from a friend of mine, Ben Kane. It still has his name engraved on it. When he moved to California, but he moved back to New York, but he's got to come and get it from me if he wants it. So if he ever sees this video, I have your ruler. I'm holding it for a ransom of nothing. In fact, I will buy you a beer and hand your ruler to you directly if you come and get it. Anyways, I'm going to use this. It's a great ruler. It has metric and standard. So we're going to measure the size, and actually metric works a little bit better. I'm looking at, does it? Watch me eat my words. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's 5:30 seconds. Let's see how consistent I was when I made the first one. 5:30 seconds. I'm pretty good. Okay, so we're going to set this tape at 5:30 seconds. We're going to take our handy white pencil. This thing is great once again. Stabilo. It writes on everything. This is all. Yeah, so it writes on your hand. Hi. Okay. We're going to put a mark. Let's make some guideline mark here. Did I say 5 or is it 3? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, yeah. Okay, threekend. A threekend is a 30-second. It's a industry term? Maybe? Like you know, when you're dividing out an inch, you have an inch, but the top down you go inch to half of an inch, let's say, then quarter of an inch, an eighth of an inch, 16th of an inch, and then you have 32nd of an inch. But 32nd, it's kind of a complicated, in a way, it's kind of a complicated word to say. So, threckened. Threckened is a lot easier to splay out on the job site. If you're trying to convey something over the sound of a whirring buzzsaw and some guys chipping rock and then a bunch of other dudes playing crazy music that you don't know the origin for, but it's still catchy. It's always catchy music. I realize that's horribly out of frame. Yeah, so threckened, and then 64th is a sfourth. Yeah, sfourth. I don't know. I'm waffling. You have to forgive me, folks. Alright, so I took the liberty of cutting down one of my big strips, cut it in half, because the contour within this inner crevice here between the thruster or the booster is and where the front component of the armor doesn't allow for a large component. Like a thinner piece like this is going to be easier to stick in there, so we're just going to peel it off and lay it down. This stuff, I love, actually kind of starting to love the way that it works. It takes, a lot of times it takes me a little bit of time to fall in love with a building tool or a new product, or new to me, not new to the world, but like, new to me, like, so like, let's take for instance Bondo. A lot of people don't like Bondo. I used to not like Bondo, but after building larger 1-to-1 scale props and doing some work with different kinds of fillers, Bondo's my friend. I used to hate the smell. I love the smell. Maybe my brain is broken a little bit, but at the same time, look at that, laid it down nicely. So I cut the thinner piece, cut it down in half, laid it right on top of my line. Let's throw Tef ruler on it. Tef ruler says maybe just a hair heavy, but actually by the time the line gets scribed on there, from the inside edge of the line, it'll probably line up to being right at, where is it? There it is. Yeah, you can see it. Just about 5 seconds, like right on there. Pretty good. 5 seconds, as it were. Alright, so we're gonna do the same thing to this other piece. Using the tweezers helps a lot. Just peel the back off the tape. Tape's really sticky, so you can touch it a little bit. Don't manhandle it too much, especially if you've been eating a bunch of like cheesy fries or poutine or something like that. I love me some poutine, but don't get all fingery goodness on your tape, or it won't stick. That's a little bit. Let's see if I stuck it too far. Maybe you guys will witness. Oh, it worked. Whew. If you stick it down a little bit too aggressively before you have your layout right, you will cause that mad whiteness that comes from the letters. Like when they punch the letter on this particular tape, the letter would punch out to be white because the stress on the plastic turns the paper, or turns the plastic white. Strip paper. Oh, perfect. There we go. Okay. So, I'm just going to smooth that out with the edge. See, there it is. Look at that. See that whiteness? The mad whiteness? Oh, I just got to put a little stress on it. And that's the same thing when it punches, like, so that would be the letter A or the number 4 or a star or whatever fucking thing you want. Alright, cool. So, that's the easy part. The easy part is down. Here we go. This is very nice. And yeah, so we're going to work on some curves. And I cut these two. If I can pick one of these guys up. Quality television. It's not even television. Quality YouTube. So we cut these little guys, these little stubby buddies. And we're just going to take our white pencil and kind of eyeball. We're going to freehand it a little bit. Kind of quote unquote free ball it. Now, the thing that gets complicated when it comes to this, and this is a little bit more beginning, easy level compound curve than some of these guys out here. So we're trying to think about the way that this line that stops here from being just a straight line, from being straight, and it takes a couple of different directions. It not only does it curve away from the plane or the direction of which this line is going, but it in three-dimensional space it also rises up. So not only is there an XY, but there is a Z change on the height of the line. So if I were to just take this line here directly and take this and flat plane, draw this line, cut it over, and try and put it on there, it wouldn't match up because the height changes, and it makes this the curve actually more severe on a flat plane when you were to transfer the three-dimensional form to a two-dimensional form. I know that's a lot to think about and a lot to say all in one mouthful, but so basically what that boils down to is that we're going to make a couple of marks on this, a couple marks on from this, and then we're going to draw the if I can get it to line up sort of semi. This is really tough to do on camera. Everybody says that, and it's so very, very true. Okay, so here now we can move this around a little bit and play with it, and I'm making the mark kind of shallow so that so this is kind of a direct one-to-one flat representation. Now, that's not going to be strong enough, and I'll show you in a second what that's all about. So we'll just do this really quick. Let me cut it. Let's pause. All right, I realized that I should show you what I do when I cut this stuff. I have yet another hobby knife. How many hobby knives? You people are going to say that I'm telling you to buy 1,000 hobby knives and put you in the poorhouse from just buying hobby knives and a variation of blades, but no. This is a little pen knife that I picked up in a general multi-hobby kit. I got a little bit of everything. I got a pair of thin nippers and these and a couple of files and, a couple of sanding sticks that ran out in 20 seconds. But this little hobby knife is actually quite nice. It has a good weight to it. The blades are a little bit weak because I break everything that I touch. But it works really, really well for cutting the tape. So I can zoom in. Beautiful. Okay. So we zoomed up here. And what I'm going to do is try to do this quasi-eloquently and not snip my finger off. Just kidding. I don't want to snip my finger off. Alright. Just a couple of quick scores. I'm cutting this about 2 feet away from my face, so it's kind of a miracle that I can even see what exactly is going down here. Okay, so not half shabby. Okay, I can pick the dang thing up. Where's my tweezers? All right, tweezers to the rescue. Alright, so here we go. Back up to full strength here. Hello, camera. Aha, hello, okay. Alright, so where's the piece? Is this the one? No, this is the one. Alright, so this is the one. This was the one-to-one. Waiting for that autofocus to give me some sweet love. Come on, autofocus. You're my friend, right? Alright, so if we put it's not even a perfect curve, but if I were to lay that down, directly on top of there, it goes all sorts of over the place. It's not right. It's too severe, in fact, because of the change in height. Perhaps it's the height, the elevation change vertically here that makes this curve that we cut more pronounced. So I'm gonna have to mellow this one out. I'm just gonna take my pencil, and that's one thing that's nice about this, because it doesn't have, I haven't taken the adhesive back off, or the resistive back off, so I can just lay it down on top, match that arc, and draw the path of righteousness, we'll call it. Cut that really quick. in one swing. There we go. Lined up again. Not too bad. Sorry, not too bad. If I set it like that, that won't be bad at all. I'll need to trim a little bit here on the inside, just to make sure that that's enough round. I don't want it to be too angular, so we'll do that. Alright, after a little bit of back and forth and deliberation with my knife, I think I have a line that I feel acceptable. So we're just going to peel the backer like we did with all the others. If I can get to, there we go. Alright. I'm laying it down. Finger's no good. Tweezer's good. There we go. There we go. Cool. Okay, so there we go. I got a couple of, after some semi-frustrated attempts, we got a good line going there. Curved compound. We're just going to grab this guy and go to town on it. You don't really go to town, I should say. Scribing panel lines should be slow and methodical. It's not a race, especially when you're dealing with compound curves, because you run the risk of jumping out of your line and gashing the surface of your armor, and that's just more time. Polishing, sanding, re-etching your line down because you had to reduce the surface height, or backfilling and then filling in the line and re-etching the line. And I blow on the pieces a lot. I'm sure you saw that with some of the earlier footage. But so this little guy here, it doesn't really have like a super, the inside edge isn't razor sharp, but the nose of the blade, I'm sorry, I'm way out of film, I'm way out of focus here. So the nose of the blade is sharpened, but what it creates is a nice wedge down here, and because of the angle of the blade, it cuts the plastic really nicely. It makes a nice, a lot of times it makes a nice little ribbon, a chip, like that. Whole curly Q. That's a good chip. So I'm just going to draw this back several times using the Dymo tape as my completely out of focus, and using the Dymo tape as my template. And the idea, I went over the edge a little bit there. I'm going to have to probably sand that down. The idea is just to use the tape as a template and get a good base to build on. I like to not just cut straight down, but to, after the line is well established, come back in and etch on an angle. Get down, and widen the line just a little bit, you know, instead of it just going to a straight point, have it go to a wider base, make the line more pronounced. Alright, from that, I think I can just whip that off of there. I don't need those anymore because they're already done. There you go. Compound scribe line, nice and clean. The Dymo tape and the refining, and the tape doesn't cost a bunch. Usually you can get like a multi-pack for just a few dollars. Cut a couple of templates. If a template isn't working right, throw it away. Make another one. They don't, what's a fraction of a cent, Don't worry about that. So, yeah, I'm going to repeat this same process on the other side. And I'm also going to continue around the thrusters here.